There's a group of fireworks hotshots
This is so live!
who call themselves GFA PYRO.
I love when my guys get excited.
Watch out! I get to blow stuff up for fun.
They're a small company. To be number one, they're going to have to blow away the competition. One explosion at a time. This time on Pyros. In Britain, GFA takes a licking and keeps on kicking. But back home, it's a vertical challenge.
There's a mist at all times.
When Maud and her team take the falls.
Oh, we've had a low break.
Maud has just rolled off the red eye at Manchester Airport. GFA's boss is hooking up with her team. Eric, the designer, and her star pyro, Philippe.
Long.
I have to shift my stupid left hand.
Eric and Philippe's last big road trip was devastating.
Now I have to scan the right side, the left side. Stop it for a second.
The boys took a beating in Berlin. Now they're heading to another international competition in Blackpool to try and turn their luck around.
I don't know, not complete under control, but I got around one roundabout.
Driving on the left is going to be the least of Eric's challenges on this trip.
So now I have to go the other side.
Yeah. Turn right and stay left.
Blackpool is a summer hotspot. But summer's over.
Okay, that's windy.
So the city's ordered up some sizzle to keep the visitors coming. A fireworks shootout on the windy waterfront.
I don't know how the equipment's going to stay in place.
Over 3 weekends, several countries will fire off their finest here. This is weekend 1, and Canada's GFA is first up. Come hell or high winds.
It's crazy. How strong is this wind, you think, huh? That's over 40, that's for sure. This is the fronts. The fronts are on the pier, and the shells are in the back on the back side. We should actually try to go walk there. Yes, this is actually this.
Eric has designed a show that fires all along Blackpool's 100-year-old North Pier.
So the public will be on both
The
sides?
public's going to be on either side of the pier watching the shows. So what I did, I played with things coming from there towards the crowd.
Eric's largest shells will be at the end of the pier, furthest from the crowds, for safety. But for the beginning and the end of the show, Eric plans to line all 350 meters of the pier's length with one-shot candles and multi-shot cakes.
If this was Canada, though, there's no way we'd shoot this.
No, not in that way. And anyway,
Oh, but that's
and the
it.
wind is going towards
Towards the crowd directly, and they probably always like that, come from the ocean towards the shore.
No, but you don't understand the concept, man.
No. We're lunching here, but the show is in Liverpool.
A local company is hosting the competition. They're also providing all the pyro and the support crew.
Hey, guys.
Hiya.
Eric.
I'm Russell. Okay.
What's wrong with you crazy people doing here?
This is good weather.
Is it? You actually shooting this stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
How many of you will there be?
6 more on the way.
Working abroad means relying on the local team without even knowing the person. You just arrive and you have to trust the person right away.
I'm gonna go down.
All right, cool.
Okay. We know what our people can do, but we don't know what the others, if they work properly, if they have the same way of setting up. For us, it's a lot of trust.
Watch your head. It has begun. Oh, yeah, oh. All right, this is brilliant. I'm loving it. whole other concept, huh? But I think it's
awesome.
easy working.
Back home, GFA's Pyros have to hammer their mortar racks together for every show. In Berlin, the German mortar racks just snap together. The Brits have pre-built the racks. The mortar tubes just drop in.
It's a new experience, and that's what we want. You think you know everything? Yeah, and then a surprise. Yeah.
Eric's in for a much bigger surprise during the show tonight.
Okay, here's the layout.
Okay, so we need to work according to your plan. This doesn't work anymore.
Well, obviously, what he's just converted it.
No, that's fine. Just, okay.
And it'll fire exactly the same as the way you've got it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope. Daryl from Timbleton took my show and kind of rearranged it in the way they work. So we need to use his script paper instead of mine.
Eric's biggest shells go in first.
The main concern is that we don't damage the pier, we don't blow any holes in the pier itself, and also, of course, we have to be very careful that we don't set fire to anything.
It's going very well, actually. Their system is pretty efficient. Just need the wind to come down, and everything's going to be perfect.
But as the day wears on, the winds get even stronger.
Whoa! I hate wind to start with. It's just the fireworks' worst enemy.
It's going to blow the effects away.
It'll really deform shells. We'll nice some pattern shells or nice shapes, and they'll all deform, and the stars will burn quicker, the effects burn quicker.
22.
And, to do something symmetrical in a fly, it's going to be weird.
And it just sucks to work in.
By late afternoon, the weather is improving, and the Pyros plant the last of their effects along the length of the pier.
Setup's finished. We're moving along to the firing booth for tonight, so we're going to run the total check.
During tonight's show, the shells will be triggered from here, the pier's candy shop.
Cool. Are we allowed to sample while we shoot? To get our fireworks to shoot precisely on the music, what we do is our show is programmed along a timeline, and so we prepare the time code recorded simultaneously with the music on the same CD.
That CD will play from the sound technician's booth back in the main building. Computer time code from the CD's left channel will be sent to the firing board in the candy shop to trigger all the pyro. The music from the right channel will also go to the candy shop and to a row of loudspeakers along the beach. That one CD runs both the music and the pyro, so everything should be in sync.
Have your time code link is hardwired or?
Radios for these types of radios? Yes, similar to these, yeah.
It's time for Eric to hand his show over to the local team.
That's still not working. That must be the...
One last igniter to check out of 940 products. We're doing good.
Okay, thanks everybody. That's 100%. We're ready to go. Wait for it to get dark and run the show.
GFA have done their part.
Hey, it's that moment.
Okay, let's go because it's gonna... Okay, good show.
Good show, guys.
From here on, all they can do is watch. For better or for worse.
We'll know right away.
Eric and Philippe have their positions.
Nervous, dude.
Maude is still looking for hers.
I'm trying to find a spot, but I don't see exactly where.
50 seconds. Time code in. Radio on.
Now I'm in the crowd where I wanted to be to see what the public sees, because in the end that's all that matters, you know? It's even if it's a competition.
Nervous?
Anxious. Not nervous, anxious. I want to see it.
Eric is shooting the show close to the front. Philip is on the rooftop close to the shells.
These fireworks in the next 2 seconds.
This is it.
Is everybody ready for this tonight? Yeah!
I'm not even sure Philip will be able to hear the music during the show. Eric will, and apparently I will.
It's been a long journey to get here.
Time codes coming in.
Transport, road services, and of course Rock FM. So get ready because this is Canada's exhibition tonight. Amazing fireworks set to music. Get ready for the countdown. 9, 8,
Then
7, 6,
the fireworks start too early, and the music hasn't even begun. Something is very wrong.
Time codes coming in.
St. John Ambulance.
At an international pyro competition in Blackpool, England, GFA's show is off to a rocky start.
Amazing fireworks. 6, 5,
The first sign of a glitch? The fireworks started too soon. And it gets worse.
I don't hear the music.
Maude thinks she's just too far from the speakers.
I want to try to move closer to the music because I don't hear anything.
In fact, there is no music anywhere, only the noise of the computer timecode signal. The music and the timecode both play off one CD at the soundman's booth. Eric and everyone else should be hearing music now.
How come we get the time code in here, though?
He sent us the wrong thing.
Daryl guesses the sound technician must have got his timecode and music wires crossed. So he tries fixing it by repatching the wires on his end. When he does, the music comes on partway into the track.
Okay, Russell.
But the fireworks stop.
There's something wrong with the system. It's the worst feeling ever for a pyrotechnician.
This is the kind of glitch that could blow everything for GFA.
It's a competition. We won't win.
I'm going back there. The audience started booing because there was no fireworks.
Russell, receive over.
When Daryl radios the sound booth, the sound man panics and restarts the CD.
There was a problem.
Did it jump? The CD jump?
CD's jumped, Russell. The CD jumped.
Now, as the CD plays from the beginning, the embedded timecode is telling the computer to ignite pyro that's already been shot.
The CD jumped back, so we jumped back to the beginning of the show, so that's why nothing's firing right now.
And nothing is going to fire until the CD reaches where it left off.
Can you fast forward it to, okay, leave it as it is, leave it as it is.
Ah, this is so beautiful.
We had to get that sound guy to get the music back to where the show was at before it jumped back. Okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay.
I'll sort that out with the judges.
Okay.
Daryl may think he can explain things to the judges. But right now, the crew is just trying to figure out what went wrong.
The CD jumped over there, so it went back to the beginning.
Yes, CD actually.
It's the guy in the sound booth there. Don't worry, I'll sort it out with the judges. Look forward.
Otherwise, it's looking good.
Yeah.
That just kind of breaks the feeling of it, doesn't it?
There's still 90% of the show, so people won't even remember.
The rest of the show fires perfectly. Eric and Maude do their best to forget about the false start.
The ultra fire, huh?
Eric's finale features hundreds of shots in an 8-second burst.
665 shots.
A spectacular finish.
That was GFO Pyro from Canada. Wow, just fantastic.
But all anyone can talk about is why the top of the show was so messed up.
We couldn't hear. It's because I think she was doing the countdown, probably put the music off while the countdown. 10 to 0, but we were already 10 seconds in the show.
Our show was completely I don't know what the judges are thinking. I don't know if they're aware that there was a technical problem.
Now we're heading over to an area where the judges are.
But will it matter that what happened wasn't GFA's fault?
This is our final judge.
Hello, sir. Eric.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you just had a bit of the timing just went on you, didn't it?
Bad, all out of control, but I think I hope it didn't ruin it for you.
No, it was a great show, and I thought, the comeback was absolutely brilliant.
It's not a comeback. It was not my control. I didn't lose it.
GFA gets sympathy, but not much else.
They told us, oh, it's a pity. So it was so beautiful, as much as we saw it. But yeah, it's really a pity. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course it's a pity. But I really doubt that they can take what happened in consideration. So I don't know.
There's no way GFA will end up in the winner's circle at this competition.
Man, I tell you, it's always the sound man that screw up our shows. Christ. It's disappointing. All this work, and it comes down to just, that sucks.
Yeah. It was not meant to be like that. It was meant to be perfect.
Thanks, Eric. Pleasure. Thanks, Maude. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Everything ruined by one useless guy that just doesn't know his job. So. Traveling 6,000 kilometers, all this crazy trip for nothing. I got enough of Europe. This trip needs to come to the end and done, finished.
There's an even bigger challenge waiting back home. A daring fireworks display with water all around them. It's the Pyro's worst enemy. And it's got them surrounded.
Cue.
The GFA team is back on home turf. Just in time to take on a technical extravaganza in a spectacular venue. Montmorency Falls near Quebec City. It's 30 meters higher than Niagara Falls.
The site is just a beauty of nature. It gives the designers a unique and extraordinary canvas.
While Maude and the boys were taking a beating in Blackpool, teams from 5 other countries came here one by one and lit up the skies for thousands of spectators. Now, there's only one more show. A marathon fireworks finale featuring highlights from every one of the 5 countries' performances.
It's actually the last show. GFA is there to actually coordinate.
Most of the international crews are gone. They've left their designs and best pyro in GFA's hands. But the memory of Blackpool is still fresh.
We have have to make sure that nothing happened to this show like what happened to us overseas.
The show is tomorrow night.
Today the program will be setting up the bottom positions. So for the beginning on ramp A, s01e.
The technical director is Gabriel Dallaire. To back him up, Maude has brought in the GFA heavyweights, Philippe, Benoit, and Sebastian.
So people that go on C can climb on my bus. Let's try not to waste too much time down at the warehouse, please, okay?
The 30-minute finale will be shot from 7 different ramps, including a suspension bridge right over the falls. A signal from the master firing booth will be picked up by 3 slave boards that'll set everything off. Today, the Pyros have to set up and wire over 3,000 effects before nightfall.
We're arriving to ramp F, which is above the waterfall on the left side. We have Sebastian, Philippe and his brother Mathieu.
Mathieu encourage son équipe.
Philippe's older brother is also an accomplished pyro, and the two rarely get a chance to work together.
I'm happy to work with my bro because I can just kick his ass, you know?
They have their work cut out for them. Each country has designed and outfitted a portion of the show, but it's a virtual Rubik's Cube to set up.
On one rack, you could have like one rack with one shell of Mexico, one other shell of Russia, and then another shell of Portugal. Everything needs to be super well identified.
All of the different countries that compete has their own language.
Okay, where was I?
It's a puzzle.
It's a big mess. I think we missed some rack because I have this full box of overstock and I don't know where it's supposed to go.
This is Italy is
yeah.
Philippe helps keep things straight.
Okay, the line is 4.
Box 4.
8.
Okay. Thanks, man.
No worries.
Easy, eh? Finally. When you know.
On ramp A, below the falls, the Pyros face a unique problem.
So you can see from here, because of the waterfall, there's a mist at all times, even when it's sunny.
And water is the enemy.
It's a sunny day, but not here.
Even a trace of moisture can snuff out a shell's lift charge. And shells that fail to launch can explode on the ramp, setting off a dangerous chain reaction. Nearby, Team Italy prepares the ground effects for their part of the show. Spain, Portugal, Mexico, and Russia have left their precious pyro in GFA's hands. But Italy's show uses a unique Austrian-made firing system.
Number 68 is the delay with 2 seconds.
It's so complicated, the Italians don't dare let someone else fire it.
Italians were the only team that knew how to operate their own firing system. That's why they had to stay through the grand finale while all the other team went back home.
And it's not just Italy's firing system. The Italian shells are different too.
What I'm loading now is Italian multi-break shells. Honestly, these are the most powerful and the nicest multi-break shells.
They're also dangerous. In a conventional firework, the lift charge is ignited first. It lights the time delay fuse, which lights the big burst charge. If the lift charge is a dud, the burst charge shouldn't ignite either. But in an Italian shell, both charges are lit at once. If the lift charge fails, the whole thing will still blow in the mortar.
If the lift charge doesn't go, it's going to break on the ground for sure.
By late afternoon, most of the pyro has been distributed to the ramps.
We're going to get some rain.
36 hours till showtime. Benoit puts the finishing touches on GFA's creative contribution to the show.
It's a fun challenge. Oof.
A final crescendo using the surplus pyro from the festival to cap off the 5 countries' shows.
We're adding some leftover stuff, so I think the public will love to see it.
Since it's the last part of the show, Benoit has to create even better and bigger and more beautiful sections.
Wednesday morning, 13 hours to showtime. Rain.
The work that has to be done today is setting up the last smaller and most fragile effects on ramp A+ and C+.
But if the skies don't clear soon, they won't be shooting tonight.
The shells would go into the clouds and explode into the clouds. We've lived that experience a couple of years ago, and it was, a total nightmare.
If the show is postponed, Gabrielle is going to lose Benoit, Sebastian, and Philippe.
We're scheduled on other gigs and other shows, other fireworks, other things, work.
The whole crew is trapped in a holding pattern. The festival's chief executive promised to call Gabrielle by 10 a.m. with his decision.
Still have 25 minutes to the deadline he told us this morning.
The longer they have to wait for the news, the further behind they get.
Oui. So, amigos, there won't be no show tonight. What can you do?
The show's been pushed by 2 days to Friday night. Gabrielle has to find a way to make it happen with a skeleton crew.
Phil, Benoit, and Seb all have to leave, so we're losing them for the show.
For us, it's a pain to work that hard and not to be able to see the show for sure.
Fais chier, man. Fais chier.
Regarde, c'est la météo.
Fais chier, pareil.
Philippe has to go. His brother Mathieu remains.
The best day is 30% chances of showers on Friday, and which is the window because Saturday it's back to this.
They've got no choice but to leave the pyro outside for an extra 48 hours in the rain.
There's just no way we can tear this down because it's thousands of different effects all over the place with the igniters on already. We just had to cover it and hope for the best.
If it doesn't work in 2 days, then we have a big problem.
And it gets worse.
Un po' di malincuore c'è andarmene, purtroppo.
Team Italy can't stay either. That means Gabrielle has just hours to learn how to run their Austrian-made firing system.
And when the time code is coming, this is waiting for the start position. No time code, no shooting.
It's completely impossible at this point to replace their system because the way it's programmed is different than with the other systems.
Yeah, okay.
The surprises keep coming.
I had a phone call from my son telling me he was in the hospital and he broke his elbow. And of course, mommy is like hundreds of kilometers away.
And as much as work is important and fireworks is a big part of my life, there's nothing that comes in between my son and me. So I had to go back to Montreal.
Mo doesn't know when or if she'll be back. In the course of one day, everything has changed. Gabrielle and his decimated crew are up the creek without a paddle. The mammoth fireworks show at Montmorency Falls has been rained out.
There won't be no show tonight.
Gabrielle, the technical director, has just one day to put everything back together without some of his heavy hitters. Friday morning, the storm finally clears.
It's pretty sunny. We're very happy. But we are a limited crew, and we've got lots to do still. Ciao.
By sundown, thousands of spectators will be here. But will there be anything to see? More than 3,000 effects have been standing in heavy rain for 2 days.
We have different types of candles here. Some are quite waterproof, but some are not at all.
They've got to check every one of them for signs of moisture. Team Italy is long gone. They left cryptic instructions on setting up their show.
Some that we have to
Gabrielle got a crash course in operating the Austrian-made Italian board. But deciphering their foreign schematic is another story.
Not very clear. Not very clear.
Just figuring out what goes where is going to take hours.
It's an Italian that gave an Austrian his show, and the Austrian made his display, and then we get the paperwork after. Oh, man.
Then finally, some good news. Maude is back. The team needs her. But so does her son, Jules.
This was a rough week. He broke his elbow while I was here. So mommy was worrying. So now I'm happy he's here.
Quand on passe au-dessus des arbres. Non, maman, papa.
There's one thing that Maude is anxious about.
The Italians are not there to control the firing system, so I hope Gabrielle really controls the firing system. It's tricky.
Over on Ramp C, Charles Dallaire makes the final connections to Team Italy's Austrian modules.
My last one is over there. I'm almost finished.
During the show, Gabrielle must switch from the main system board to the Austrian one and back again.
2, 3, 4. We'll see tonight.
The crew still has to install a giant set piece on the bridge. It's a complex effect, and none of the Pyros who stayed behind know much about it.
Ça marche bientôt, ben.
But Maude has a surprise for them. She's pulled Philippe off his other show and got him back here.
Maude called me, just asked me to come back on the show.
We got a big 300-degree Black Viper that's going to shoot one shot. They're all individually connected to the module.
The Black Viper is a special rig. They can rapid fire a fan of one-shot effects up to 180 degrees wide. But this Viper is going to shoot a full 360-degree circle high above the falls. Setting it up is a big job, and time is tight.
They only close the bridge at 4 p.m. On the day of the show. It's really challenging because we have to connect to our main system, which is really far away.
Hours till launch time. This is the first time Gabrielle's ever had to operate 2 different firing systems in the same show.
Look, this means lights. That means on, and that means armed. So I have the basic Austrian. And I gotta wait for my guys that are setting up there, the last things.
As the night is falling and the showtime is approaching, I get a little bit more anxious to see if everything's going to be fired properly. But until you see the show, you don't know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the L'Auto-Québec International Fireworks Competition.
In 1 minute, Charles will have to fire a volley of warning shots.
All my faith is in this board. It's really important that this worked well.
This will be the moment of truth.
Stand by 10 seconds.
If the rain has soaked the lift charges, nothing is going up.
3, 2, 1, cue. Nice.
So far, so good. But then, one of the massive warning shells fails to launch and explodes inside its mortar tube.
Phil, check ça. Passe-moi ton tanky.
Gabrielle and Charles are forced to shut everything down, while Phil rushes to assess the damage.
The explosion made a major hole. A big crater on the ground.
A 12-inch shell break in the gun. This is the result. It's kind of insane.
If it's not safe, they can't continue.
But all the other guns were pointing up. So at that time I realized that the show could go on.
So it's working?
Yeah, it's working.
Ready for line 2?
The question now, is one wet lift charge a fluke, or was this a preview of what's to come?
3, 2, 1, cue. Yeah, man, it's working.
Spain's 360-degree Black Viper that was so difficult to set up proves it was worth all the trouble.
It was pretty impressive to see the Spaniards innovating with that Black Viper. There's not so many shows fires from a bridge over a waterfall like this.
The show moves seamlessly from the Spanish segment to Russia's. So far, so good. Portugal's segment demonstrates a strong command of design.
That is nice.
Spectacular multi-level effects make the Montmorency waterfall part of the show.
Flying saucer.
The second to last country is Mexico. As soon as this segment ends, Gabrielle will have to trigger Italy's show with that Austrian firing board.
Everything was working. The public was appreciating the show.
These are beautiful.
It's time. Gabrielle switches to the tricky Italian firing system and hopes for the best. Italy's powerful effects rocket into the sky.
The sky was filled up with effects.
When Italy finishes, some of the audience think it's time to leave.
I started getting nervous because I was wondering how would Benoit's design look after.
It's Benoit's moment. He's not here to see it. His work will have to speak for itself.
It started slowly, but very pretty. And then it started building up and more. It got very intense, lots of emotions.
Benoit has outdone himself.
We were all happy.
Yeah, man.
He did a great job.
It's a proud night for everyone at GFA.
I was kind of scared after the Italian part because they did such a big finale. I was like, what are we going to look after that with the finale part? But it turned out very well. Very happy.
And it's a personal victory.
Did you see that shooting star just before the show?
For Gabrielle.
I made a wish that for the show to go well, and I think it worked.
Next time on Pyros.
Mexico.
Sebastian and Philippe turn a Mexican church loco into a rocket launch pad. Tequila. And in Korea, GFA helps launch the biggest
12-inch is nothing to us, actually.
baddest, highest tech show they've ever seen.